All right, unified facility criteria. Operation maintenance petroleum systems. Chapter 11: Entry and inspection, cleaning, repairing, and coating liquid petroleum tanks. Introduction. The chapter provides minimum standards for the safe entry and inspection, cleaning, repairing, coating of liquid petroleum tanks. This normally formally used for LFM tank cleaning, position tanking, cleaning supervisor work of the manhole, observing the fresh air blowing, monitoring safety emergency person have been changed to the line with the LFM career field with the Air Force confined with the Space Entry Program, Combined Space Entry Program. The new names in the tank entry supervisor, the TES entrant, attendant, and regular monitor, organizational rescue team, standby rescue personnel, and respective. Standards for all tank cleaning related functions follow the guidance of the API standard 215 safety entry for the cleaning of petroleum storage tank, planning of the managing tanking and entry from the decommissioning, the recommissioning, and throughout recommissioning. The API standard 2015 containing the comprehensive planning with the checklist and Appendix E for the rest of the paragraph chapter the tailor the guidance of the API publication LFM form requirement. The following AFOSH standards are to be used in lieu of the OSHA standards covered in the API publication. AFOSH Standard 9125 Confined Spaces, Title 49 CFR 1910.146 Permanent Required Confined Spaces. The AFOSH 9131 Personal Protective Equipment 9138 Hydrocarbon Fuels Standard 48137 Respiratory Protection Program Standard 48 controlling exposure hazardous material, and 48 standard 8091 cutting and brazing. 11.3 test the TES certification, which is also the tank entry supervisor. Tank entry supervisor is responsible for all aspects of the tank entry. Entry must have the AF Form 483 tank cleaning certification competency card issued by the Major Com Fuel Area Engineer. Certification certification will not exceed 5 years for the completion date of the Air Education Training Command AETC. The tank entry supervisor courses. The Major Com Fuel Engineer may approve 1-year waiver. The certificates are non-transferable. The Major Com submit the following: the Major Com Fuel Engineering for the certification. Certification training forward to forward a copy to the Air Education Training Commanding the tank entry supervisor course completion certification AF Form 126556 certificate of training. This course is mandatory. Certification must have redone every 5 years. 1 of the year waiver may be approved by the Major Com Fuel Engineering to allow scheduling difficulties. Tank cleaning experience. List at least 2 tanks cleaning showing dates and size, location, and tank cleaning supervisor. Medical evidence application physical qualified to perform tank cleaning. 11.4 Tank entry personnel requirement. Medical requirements prior to the entry and cleaning operation. Each of the tank entry military or civilian must have the proof of the current physical AF Form 600 treatment record or equivalent or appropriate medical statement for local medical facility stating from the applicant for qualified to perform tank cleaning. Medical statements are valid for 1 year provided with the AF Form 2772 certificate of respiratory fit test equivalent showing the individual has been fit tested by the wearer respirator. Health effects, cold fatigues, overheating, lower physical resistance for any of the sources to increase the person's susceptibility to hazards encountered in the tank entry. Psychological effects, anyone with a medical documented history of claustrophobia will be disqualified for any of the entering any tanks. 11.5 Confined space and requirements. The OFSH Standard 9125 contains the requirements for practice procedure that provide the protection when the Air Force employees, military civilians who enter the work with the confined space information of the AFOSH Standard 9125 is considered the Air Force minimum safety fire prevention occupation health requirements. 11.6 Tank crew cleaning. Tank cleaning crew. Crew members, the typical crew size of the tank entry is 5. The tank entry supervisor and entrance attendant, regulator, monitor duties must be performed. The attendance of the condition is allowed. Organizational rescue team, standby rescue personnel. Additional, a pump with the compressor operator may be required. Individuals assigned with these duties will not leave the position until relieved by the tank engineering supervisor. Any deviation from the above must be coordinated with the major comm fuels engineering. The tank entry supervisor. The tank entry supervisor referred to the entry is an on-site supervisor responsible when all aspects of the tank entry stays at the job site until all individuals have exited the tank. The tank entry supervisor only transfers supervisor responsibility when he or she enters the tank. Before entry, the tank entry supervisor appoints any equal qualified individual to run the operation while he or she is in the tank. The tank entry supervisor ensures all workers are properly trained on the safety tank entry procedures using the protective equipment ways to egress in confined space. The tank entry supervisor must reveal all his built drawings to become familiarized with tank components and appurtenances. Before starting an entry and starting an tank entry project, the tank entry supervisor briefs all members of the tank entry crew and then briefs included duties in each of the member hazard affecting each of the entry and component inspection requirements, works actions if they are emergency length, the time of each person will be in the tank, and effects of inhalation or health of safety aspects and inherit the entry. Tank entry supervisor must follow the confined space entry procedures outlined in the OFSH Standard 9125, paragraph 213. For additional information using the plug mounting check in the Standard 9125, Appendix E, as guided divided by site-specific work plan. 11.16.3 Entrant. The entrant is an individual who trained and qualified authorized to enter the confined space, and entrants must follow the understanding of all cleaning procedures, inspection requirements, safeguards, and current emergencies, egress, and rescue the procedures associated with the entry. Follow all safety work procedures required by the tank entry supervisor. Notify the tank entry supervisor when the hazard exists that have not been corrected. Notify the tank entry supervisor if he or she is ill or on medication. Immediately exit the tank when directed by any member of the tank cleaning crew or while recognizing the warning signs of the exposure to hazardous substances. 11.6.4 Attendant. The attendant stays outside of the tank, monitors the entrant inside. The attendant should maintain the continuous communication with the authorized entrants by voice or visual observation communication gear, the other equal equivalent effective means. The attendant has authority to order the entrance out of the tank at first sign of an unexpected hazard. The attendant must know the procedures and have means of summon emergency assistance if needed. They must stay at their post and not leave any for the reason except for the self-preservation, unless replaced by the equal qualified individual. The attendant continuously monitors the atmospheric levels with the entrance inside the tank. Regulator monitor. The regulator monitor is an individual responsible ensuring that uninterrupted supply of breath is approved to all works in the tank of the self-contained breathing of the apparatus of the SCBA system. The self-controlled breathing apparatus must always be monitored while working or inside the tank. If one of the minimum manning is available, the attendant can double the regular monitor. The individual must be able to see the gauges, hear the warning device, summon the workers out of the tank in unacceptable condition areas. Also regulates the monitor must be fully trained on operating the air regulator, alarms, warning devices, and proper set-off of the air bottle and cascade systems. Ensure all the components working order have been thoroughly operational checked prior to the works entering the tank. Notify the attendant of the tank entry supervisor for any condition that hinder the supply of air to the workers inside of the tank. Monitor the air equipment, low air warning devices until all workers exit the tank. Remove their own mask. Organization of the rescue team. The team includes the tank engineering entry supervisor, attendant, at least one standby rescue person for each of the individuals inside the tank. For above ground, for above ground. All right, the 1166 organizational rescue team. The team includes the transportation engineering supervisor, the tank entry supervisor, attendant, and at least one standby rescue person for each of the individuals inside the tank. The above ground storage tanks are less than 12 meters or 40 feet in diameter. Two open manways. Only one standby rescue person is required for every 2 in the tank. If the two workers are inside the tank, then two rescue people will be standing by the equipped with appropriate PPE or personal protective equipment. Also, rescue personnel must be training the requirements outlined in the AFOSH Standard 9125, paragraph 55, training requirements of the entrant. Members of the organizational rescue team can be trained locally or technical school in the correct performance of their assigned duties. Also, members must be trained annually in CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation. The cardiopulmonary resuscitation will be documented in the individual's AFF Form 55 Employee Safety Health Record. The team should be practiced once per year. 11.7 Tank entry coordination. Before entering the tank, coordinated with the following coordination: entry date of the fuel maintenance flight. The fuel maintenance flight, fuel management flight lowers the fuel level to set the floating roof or the pan adjustable legs to the 1.8 meter or 6 foot level. Following the condition, find and entry requirements, but refer to the API 226 safety access ingressing involving float roofs of storage tanks and petroleum services. Notify the environmental management CEV of scheduled operations. You should adequate waste disposal containers available to dispose of procedures identified. Upon coordination of the FFM, request permission from the major fuels engineering to tank the entry lasts 15 work days before the desired entry date, including the day's work of the facility, tank number, the size, the type of the fuel, purpose of the entry, name of the training tank entry supervisor. Notify the base ground safety fire protection BE during the 15th day of a period of the time, ensure the adequate pressure and are in place for the safety fire prevention rescue during the operation. Alright, tank entry preparation. Ensure the entire area next to the work site is secured, cleared of all non-essential personnel. If the areas cannot be isolated using existing fencing of the rope established with a perimeter at least 50 feet from the tank openings, provided with the warning sign, do not enter the tank entry into the progress, and to identify the area. Most appropriate vehicle and pedestrian guards are necessary. Remove all ignition sources from the surrounding area. Personnel entering into the area may leave all flame producing devices as a previously determined location. Inspect the work area, the equipment, tools, and identifying the hazards. Make all the necessary corrections prior to the tank entry. Place the equipment, unwind the tank openings to the highest level of evaluation possible, never in any low area surrounding terrain. Inspect the ground and bond and cable connection points and wires and clips for the good condition. Check the electrical continuity with an ohmmeter. Replace the damaged and broken items immediately. Turn off the cathodic protection disconnection pipelines for the tank. Verify the personal protective equipment is available with the proper working order. All personnel are trained to use it. Test the area around the tank for explosive vapors using the combustible gas indicator before any equipment is started, which may be a source of ignition. Ensure the emergency shutoff eye wash is available for the immediate area. Portable emergency eye washes units authorized should be recommended by the BEE. Consider weather conditions. Stop working in an electrical storm and threatening and in progress if the direction of the wind might carry up any of the vapor into the area where it could produce hazardous conditions. 11.9 Emptying the tank. Once the operator has removed such of the petroleum products as possible using existing installed pumps, removing all the remaining fuel from the portable pumps, pumping the drain fuel to the lowest possible level through the pump out connection, water draw offline, using the air operated double diaphragm type of the pumps to remove the sludge and excess water or the fuel fluent from the worksite. Do not use the equipment port of the internal combustion engine unless the equipment with the flame arrestor, particularly the ignition system, if located in the gasoline driven engine's electro explosion proof motors, upwind at least 15 to 2 meters or 50 meters from, 50 feet from an open manhole vent located is just above outside the dike. Sort the remaining specification fuel in accordance with the instruction of the fuel management flight disposal of the waste products in accordance with the basic civil engineering environmental coordinator requirements. 1110. Isolating the tank. Lock out and bind the lock out any blind and black all valves, drain lines, bypass pressure relief valve to prevent any product from entering the tank. Lockout, tag, and all electrical equipment necessary valves, isolating the piping and the removing of the valves, installing the blind flanges, installing speculate blinds and skillet flanges to prevent the fuel from the vapors returning to the tank. The blind and speculate flanges must be able to withstand any system pressure to which may be subjected. Spectacle blinds are used and inserted between the tank and the valve with the flange nearest the tank. The DBB valve, the double back bleed valve, may be used in lieu of the blind or the speculate flanges, and it can be changed and located within the closed and cavity bleed valve is open and observed. 11.10.5. Caution. Do not remove the valves, disconnect the piping from any of the equipment components until it is certain that the line has been emptied of fuel bonding copper cable and has been installed between the pipe flanges. 11.11. Vapor freeing. Ventilating the tank using the air-operated eductors such as copious or lamb air movers. Remove the roof shell manhole cover to allow the air to circulate freely. Use natural ventilation to aid the removing vapors. Do not use an air remover that blows into the tank. The fuel vapors are heavier than air, usually accumulated at the bottom of the tanks. Blowing air into the tank and dilute the vapors, but it may take longer for the vapor-air ratio to drop an acceptable level. The educator type of the air movers are flexible oil-proof hose inserted near the bottom of the tank, while eductor vapors a short period of time. Consider the local conditions when placing the ventilating equipment. Usually it is preferred to be exhausted the vapor through the roof manholes, ensuring the maximum diffusion of the vapors to the surrounding air, reducing the possibility of the flame mixture concentrating the ground. Regardless of the method you use, eliminating source ignition of the path vapors. Continuing ventilation until the tank is essentially vapor-free for the fuel vapors and replaced with fresh air. The principal consideration vapor-free is to help the removal and disposal of fuel sludge, displaced vapor in any way that will replace the possible hazardous condition, toxicity, acts of asphyxiation, fire, and explosion inside the tank and in the surrounding area. Ensure educator type of the air movers have operating continuously until the tank is safe to enter. Open the educators for at least 1 hour until the LEL oxygen are within the safe limits immediately prior to the entering the tank of the thorough operation, maintaining a safe explosive level. Everyone entering must wear approved supplied air respirator with an emergency scuba SC breathing apparatus until the declared hazard-free from the specified AFOS standard 48.137 paragraph 4222. 11.11.7. All tanks being cleaned and repaired must be considered explosive until all sludge and loosely adhering rust scale have been removed, regardless of the type of the stored fuels. Alright, 11.11.8. All tanks may be cleaned and repaired, must be considered lead unless positive proof exists that the tank has never been contained with lead fuel. The tank has been coated with Air Force standard epoxy tank coating system. Has not been has not held lead fuel since. Before tank entry is authorized with the personal protective equipment, the LEL reading must be 0 oxygen levels between 19.5 to 23.5%, lead, benzene, and other toxic material levels within the system. Safe limits. Refer to the API standard 2015 for additional information. Alright, atmospheric testing. Temporarily stop ventilation, performing the vapor testing from the outside of the tank. Test the interior space with the extending of the hose sample probe within 6 inches of the tank bottom. Repeatedly every 15 minutes for the duration of the operation. See the AFOS State Standard 9125, paragraph 3338. For the testing sequence work, they may enter the tank vapor levels at below 10 degrees below 10% of the LEL. If they are equipped to the approved the SAR with the emergency breathing apparatus, never enter the tank without a proper respiratory protection unless the LEL is zero and the oxygen level is within the tolerance of 19.5 to 23.5, with the B and E, BEE determined with the airborne benzene and other toxic vapors are within permissible exposure limits. Vapors will be present as long as the fuel and scale sludge are inside the tank. Operate the air educator continuously until the material has been removed. Noisy units may be shut down while the workers are in the tank and impair the ability for the attendants to communicate with the entrant. Do not work with the tank until the vapor readings are below 10% of the LEE. If the entry required when the LEA is above 10%, the tank entry supervisor will follow the procedures outlined in the OFSH Standard 9125, paragraph 6, notifying the command fuel engineers that the tank engineering supervisor with the installation confined space entry program team will confirm that whether entry is permissible under local conditions. Reason for not being able to get vapor readings below 10% of the LEs, in some cases below 20% of the LE. Sufficient time to reduce the vapor concentration, which can affect the base mission and requirements of maintenance costs. The size and type of the tank, and the amount of the fuel and solid sludge to be removed. The method of the facility available for floating or removing fuel, sludge, and housing down the tank is not adequate. In this case, special fuels ensure combustible gas vapor is indicated to detect the vapors of the special fuels. 1113. Initial tank cleaning outside of the tank after completing the pre-entry procedure, beginning with the initial inspection, cleaning from the outside of the tank, continuing ventilation under during the initial operations where possible to ensure the removal of the vapors from the tank. Testing frequently explosive vapors. Stop cleaning the operation. Vapor concentration rising above 20% of the LE. Direct water stream through the open main ways, the dislodging the scale sludge and fuel residue float in the water, draw off pump the out connection. Disposable costs are the high, so and use the water sparingly. Pressure washers are needed to be speed cleaning while conservation waters. If used to ensure the pressure washer nozzles electrically bonded to the tank. Place the water sludge mixture in the drum. Portable tank is disposable of sludge. Compliance with the state, local environmental levels. Contact the Basic Control Civil Engineering environmental coordinator with the proper disposal method. Stop hosing down with the tank when the vapor level is 20% of the LE higher. Use the air-driven double-fine diaphragm pumps for removing the sludge and excess water. Tank entry. After initial cleaning of the tank from the outside of the container, continuing the ventilation of the vapor readings of the manhole, equipment to determine whether the entry can be made. Once the vapor indicator requires 10% less of the registers 10% LE or less as entry is authorized, since the vapors will present as long time the full scale of sludge remains inside the tank. Continued forced ventilation until the sludge material has been removed. All entrants must be equipped with the approved personal protective equipment. Maintain uninterrupted air supply until all persons are out of the tank and have removed the face pieces. And anyone with personal protective detecting an odor such as fuel must leave the tank immediately, not entering until the cause have been determined. Equipment repair and replace. Repeat the test of the explosive vapors 15-minute intervals while the work in the tank is still stirring sludge. Release vapors, increasing the vapor concentration. Remove the puddles of fuel, water, sludge to keep the vapor reducing below 20% in the LE. After removing sludge from the tank, the personal wearing of the personal protective equipment, scrape at the bottom of the tank in 0.9 feet up from the side of the losing head, adhering the rust of the scale have been removed from the tank. Wash down the remainder of the tank for the high pressure hoses, including the metal support braces, upper portion of the horizontal tank, and the DTEX vertical tanks. Wash these areas with water pumped out of the tank is clean. Water discharge from the tank must be contained in the disposal instruction of the paragraph 11.13.3. Once washing is completed, allow the floor to dry. The interior tank of the vapor reading is 0% of the LE. The unleaded tank personnel may enter the tank without protective equipment if the test is required by the API standard 2015 has been done and the BE determines the airborne benzene other topic vapors below the permissible exposure rate, the FOSH standard 9125 on the contact Major Com Fuel Engineering for additional guidance. A clean dry tank has been ventilated overnight that has been prospect for the entry without protective gear. Pipe used with the center poles, braces, pontoons, leaking bottoms or potential sources, explosive vapors, even when the tank is clean, little or 1 or 2 hours of the safe tank may be reached with the explosive range because these sources, when unprotected personnel are in the tank, and the reading of the last every 5 minutes. When the pontoon pans roofs are installed with the above ground tank, check the platoon for vapor indicator. Petroleum products aerate more into the skin may cause the serious discomfort injury. Promptly remove the clothing and becomes the splash with a sludge of the fuel to prevent the contact with the skin before continuing. Work was washed effectively the area of the soap and the water in a small area. However, the shower, put on the fresh change clothing contaminated with the petroleum product should be kept away from any source of ignition because of the vapor given off with such clothing. A serious fire hazard. Using a full face respirator worn, wear goggles during scraping wire, brushing scales, and spreading loose absorbent material. If the hands frequently wet, the fuel is not practically wear protective goggles. The hands may be coated with any commercial non-grease cream that gives the desired protection. Note if the worksite has contained lead gasoline, approved protective goggles and other impermeable gloves must be worn throughout the operation. Keep the manhole, pump house, access area, pit, wells, and adjacent area clean of the equipment. Materials would have been hampered rescue area operations emergency situations. Alright, 11:15 repairs. Cold work involves work repairs that do not produce heat, sparks, or other forms of energy sufficient to provide with an ignition source of the vapor air. Make sure the flammable range and the present the cold repair work around the tank of the result and appear at perceptible dust or wear goggles and a respirator approved by the BEE. 2. A tank that contains lead gasoline must be free of the sludge, and all non-adherent material must be removed from the inside of the tank and before the cold work is performed. After the cleaning lasts at least 16 hours, natural ventilation is recommended before using the powered air removers, and the tank that has been vapor freed and tested in the lead API standard 2015 Appendix D4. If it is within the tolerance, consider the lead or hazard free, provided the tank sources are not heated. There are no absorbent materials that will release the organic lead. There's no leaks. Continuing testing for lead or air during the repair work. Alternative is always the breathing apparatus emergency during the inspection, cleaning, and the repair operations of the tanks that have been held lead fuel regardless of the vapor reading. When making repairs involving hot work, welding, grinding, cutting, sandblasting, shock blasting, cleaning the tanks from entry without personal protective equipment. Also clean all tanks that have been in contact with lead gasoline down to the bare metal in always areas without becoming excessively hot. Testing frequently to verify the atmosphere of the entire tank substantially free of the hydrocarbon lead vapors. When removing the interior of the tank, clean and grit blast the walls with the bare metal. The coating of the high lead content, but the method of the removal, the burning, cutting, and the blasting may be sufficient additional hazard from lead vapor. Using an approved lead vapor respirator working for the inside before starting with verifying the tank is free of hazard of both petroleum and lead. The welder's face piece uses of the breathing apparatus protects the hazard of the LED fuels from coating. Vapor may enter through the leaks of the tank leaks in the tank bottom. Vapor pockets may exist in the hollow form roof with the support columns and the floating of the paint and pontoons. Getting advanced approval from the Major Com Fuels engineering for hot work or any portion of the POL facility is required for the both in-house and contract work. Using only API certified welder when welding on a POL facility. Requirements are so only API standards, ASME boiler pressure valve vessel code. Section 9. An overseer location certification may follow the host nation standards requirement. Obtaining the AF form, the welding, cutting, and the brazing permit for the installation fire department, the work to perform the hot work operations with the tank, AFOSH 91F. If the hazardous may introduce the tank during the hot work and the BE, evaluate the potential hazard recommendation ventilation procedures. The FOSH standard 9125, paragraph 96 provided with additional working requirements. Any areas suspected of leaks from the seams of the new repair work may be tested in the vacuum box. The vacuum box rectangular frame, 12 inches by 30 inches long, to be fitted with a glass top with a rubber seal around the bottom of the edge. A manual motor-driven pump that's created with a 50 to 101 millimeter or 2 to 4 inch vacuum within the box. Soap suds are placed over the area to be tested. The vacuum must be placed over the area of the rubber seal, making the airtight contact between the tank surface and the box. The vacuum then developed into the box. The vacuum box is moved over the leak. The leak will be shown activity with the soap bubbles or the leak. The current interior tank coating system has been projected life more than 35 years. In most cases, the failure should be minimal and touch up the paint. If any, and all should be required. If any extensive failure is observed, advise the major fuel engineer repair the coating using repair the coating using the epoxy coating with the Navy Guide Specification Section 09973. Pay strict attention to the surface preparation since the key of the successful job. 1116 return service. After the tank has been cleaned, all repairs have been made. The tank entry supervisor will re-enter and they inspect the tank. After the inspection, before the tank is returned to the service, conduct operational tests and demonstrate the functional capabilities. Reinstalling the valve, the piping, and the manhole cover using the non-asbestos gasket materials compatible with the product, and store the gasket thickness but not less than the thickness of the gasket. Replace, restore the entire air with the original condition. Do not fill the tank faster than the fill line velocity of 3 feet per second until the pan is floating freely on the product and the fill lines and all other tanks are completely submerged under the fuel. At the completion of the tank inspection clean operation, the tank engineering supervisor ensures the tank stenciled in the 0.75 or 3/4 of 1 inch letters. The tank engineering supervisor must approve the major fuel engineering, record the same information on the AF Form 172 in lieu of the stenciling it in the tank and manhole on the above ground tanks. The information will be placed on the next to the manhole on the underground tanks. The stenciled manhole covered the tank pit wall. Note the additional information be stenciled on the tank showing the tank was cleaned by the contractor and inspected by the house personnel. Last cleaned, inspected in the house supervisor, date clean, contractor, and address. 1117 Inactivation. See Military Handbook 1022, Section 1314, and API RP 1604. Closure of underground petroleum storage tanks for instruction. Tank entry equipment, personal clothing. The tank entry supervisor make sure necessary clothing is on hand. He or she inspects or approves the equipment and clothing annually before the tank entry. With reference to the AFO as standard 9131 as paragraph 212 in the chapter 3. Required equipment for the clothing includes, but is not limited to, the following: electrical equipment. All electrical equipment conductors used within 50 feet of the fuel pipes of storage tanks, whether the hazardous accumulation of flammable vapors may exist within, will be Class 1 Division 1 Group D. The maximum temperature rating for the T2D is 490 degrees Fahrenheit or 250 degrees Celsius, as defined by the National Electrician Code for the use of hazardous explosive in areas. 11.18.2 Gasoline engine equipment. Equipment of all gasoline engine driven equipment is used in the tank cleaning operation for the flame arrestor protecting ignition system. 11.18.3 Combustible gas vapor indicator. Although the manufacturers may claim that there are significant differences in accuracy between the instrument is used by the LFM to detect the vapor air mixtures with the Air Force approved of the centrally protected item because of its tested and selected air-based proven performance. Air movers. All air movers will be adductor type of the copyist Lambert air mover capable of adducting vapors from the tank will be either air-driven explosion-proof electricity operated with electrically operated with the air movers will be rated with the Class 1 Division and group of the 8 as defined in the National Electrician Code for the hazardous location. Portable lights. Only use of explosion-proof portable battery-powered lights or low-voltage lights have been related to for use of Class 1 Division 1 Group D as defined in the National Fire Protection Agency 70 and National Electric Code Article 500 or hazardous locations. Cleaning equipment supplied provided with buckets and scrapers, squeegees, wraps, rags, mops, brooms, brushes, scoops for necessary brooms and brushes. Will plastic synthetic bristles are not authorized. The adequate supply with the disinfection solution contact cotton swabs will be needed for the cleaning face mask. As note, the disinfection solution will either be hypochlorite solution or 50 parts per million chlorine as aqueous iodine solution 50 parts per million iodine. 11.18.7 Impermeable gauntlet type rubber gloves will be provided with each of these person handling hazardous material, but provide an extra air with emergency air use. They inspect the gloves to verify that they are impermeable or tetrahydrolead or acid-free proof rubber in service of the condition. Gloves must be pliable to ensure they against the cracking while use. 1/4 length of bolts and knee length of boot boots acceptable with non-slip soles. Inspect the boots and ensure they're impermeable to the tetrahydrolead acid-proof rubber and are in serviceable condition. Inspect the boot soles for excessive wear to prevent the slipping while inside the tank. Tyvek disposable covers should be provided with a light color, while the static dispensation coat also provided with light cotton covers as needed before the use of the inspection coating with the covers to ensure that they are not equipped with metal fasteners. Inspect both types of the covers for all serviceability. Respirators will be supplied with the air type of the escape of the breathing apparatus to the Type C respirator. Selecting the respirator approved by the National Institution of Occupational Safety Hazard and or Minimum Mine Safety Health and Administrator according to the AFOSH Standard 48137, Chapter 4, Store and cool in 40 degrees Fahrenheit and 92 to 69 degrees Fahrenheit. Place away from directed sunlight. Rescue the person should be have 30 minutes self-contained air source to ensure that he or she has fresh air supply. Alright, personal clothing. Air Force Petroleum Storage will not use the portable oxygen tank mask, portable gas mask, or walk-around oxygen bottles mask or as sole source of air. Each individual issued the respirator responsible for the primary maintenance and care, cleaning, disinfection, air each respirator. Check the serviceability, including the inspection straps, lens, hoses, emergency express, air bottle connectors. The prescription lenses, spectacle kits are available for the manufacturer. Contact lenses are not authorized to use them with respirators. Alright, this is the breathing apparatus. Airlines will be no longer be specified by the manufacturer literature. May not exceed the approved length of 300 feet unless the specific approval has been obtained by the BE. Inspector airlines flexibility cracking, ensure that no restriction leaks that prevent discharge from the area of the housing outlet. Airline couplings must not be compatible with the outlines of other gas systems to prevent invariant servicing of the supplied air, respirators, and other gas. Oxygen. Replace failed components with the identical item, same manufacturer part and number as the approval was avoided. Alright, airlines supplied with the respirator have limited life, must be impermeable to fuel, acid, rubber, and consult with the manufacturer for the life of the expectancy of the hoses by using the base. Discard airlines showing the signs of stiffness and crackings. Communication equipment must be compatible with the approved respirator. Protective equipment provided with the approved communication system. The tank entry attendant cannot maintain continuous visual observation. Select the electronic device with the contained to ensure they comply with requirements for measurability. Intrinsically for the safe class 1 division group C and D comply with the National Electrician Code Article 5504. Intrinsically safe systems AFOSH Standard 48137 Attachment 7. A fuel resistant safety harness will be provided with each of these persons working inside the tank, plus one of the emergency rescue persons. Inspect the safety harness before using at least semi-annually to ensure the maximum usage does not extend 10 years from the date of the harness. If there is no date for the harness, mark the harness with the identified symbol. Record this information with the date of the manufacturer digitally or in a logbook. Also inspect the following: loose, missing rivets or stitching, opening holes and tears and deep cuts, broke, cracked, and deformed D-ring, snap hooks or plates or buckles, bent, broken, and missing snap hook, keeper latch, rendering unserviceable harness unless cutting across the web of the strap. Select personnel follow the rest system, their safety harness, lanyards, lifeline straps to match the working situation. Minimize the possible free fall distance considering the particular work environment being encountered in this example. Or acids, dirt, moistures, oil, grease, and other substances can cause deterioration for the fall arrest system and ability to function properly. Do not use wire rope with the rope covered with wire lanyards. Some plastics, such as nylon, where they're electrical hazard. Do not use lanyard constructed rope with synthetic materials rope covered with lanyards before welding and cutting operations. In areas with sharp edges or on open flames exclusively hot heat could present hazard. When lanyard connectors with lifelines are subject to damage, work operations such as welding, cleaning, chemical cleaning, sandblasting, and protecting component provided with the other securing system. Keep lanyards as short as possible to reduce the length of free fall. Never permit the vertical fall for more than 1.8 meters, nor contact with lower level attachment lanyards, drop line, lifeline, fixed anchor point means that will not reduce the required strength. With all the fall arrests, use an emergency shock. The absorber component will, when primary function, dissipates the engineering deceleration force of the system imposed on the body during the fall arrest. The device may use various principles, and such as deformation, friction, tearing on the materials, breaking switch stitches, allowing the engineering absorption, and all energy absorption may be borne in by users by part of the horizontal vertical lifeline subsystem. Destroy fall protection. The rescue equipment must be locally and centralized procured. Purchased equipment meets these exceeding requirement ANSI Z35 G359. Safety requirement for the personal fall arrest system subsystem components usually own the commercial manufactured fall rescue equipment. The use of the homemade modified equipment is strictly prohibited. Each of the equipment purchased will be a manufacturer's name, identification code with the date and the manufacturer stamped on the equipment or on a permanently attached tag. The free end of the synthetic materials lanyards will be lightly seared, and in the case of the natural fiber rope will be seized and whipped. Supervisor maintain the manufacturer performance testing information with the personal fall arrest system may be used. The fall arrest system must be met with the testing requirements of Title 29 CFR 119.26 Subpart M fall protection. It is common practice to interchange lanyards, connectors, lifelines, deceleration, body harness. Some of the components were to use the own sooner than others. However, not to all the components of the design interchangeable. For example, the lanyard should never be substituted in lifeline. Provide safety training for before the personnel uses the fall arrest system for the first time, including the application limits and proper anchoring of the tie-off techniques, and estimate the free fall distance, including deceleration total fall distance to prevent the striking low-level miss for the using inspection storage manufacturer recommendations. When the personal fall arrest is used by the supervisor, must ensure the walkers can be properly rescued. The rescue themselves should fall occur. Consider the availability of the rescue plant personnel ladders of the rescue equipment before the working in the areas require a full arrest system. Inspecting personnel fall arrest system. Once the fall arrest system is in use, effective should be monitored and determine cleaning of the maintenance requirements. The comply with the TO 00250 245 and operating, construction, testing, inspection, procedure, personal safety, rescue equipment, all manufacturer instructions regarding the inspection, maintenance, cleaning, and the storage of the equipment, using the organization maintenance copy of the manufacturer instruction. The user must inspect the equipment before using inspect all the fall arrest system, at least annually, for using the criteria of the TO 0025245, 245, conducting more frequently inspection of the discretion of the using organization. When the inspection equipment reveals the defective, damage, inadequate, the maintenance at equipment unserviceable, have removed the service until the repairs are made. The following conditions may require a component to be removed from the service: components of the absent illegal markings, absence of elements in the effective form of the fit and function, evidence of the defective damaged hardware elements, including the distorted hooks and faulty hook springs of the tongues, unfitted with the shoulder buckles, loose and damaged mountings, non-functional parts, cracks, sharps, edges, deformation, corrosion, chemical attack, excessive heating, alteration, deterioration, contact with the acids or other corrosives, excessive wear. Evidence defective damage to the straps of the ropes, including the fraying, splicing, unlaying, the kinking, knotting, roping, broken or pulled stitches, excessively unconjugated chemical attack, excessive soiling, cuts, tears, abrasions, mold, undue stretching, alerting, needed excessive lubrication, excessive aging, contacting with the fire or other corrosive internal, external deterioration, excessive wear, alterations in addition that may affect efficiency of the absence of parts of the evidence defect, damage to the proper damage to improper function of the mechanical devices and connectors. Maintenance and storage requirements. The user organization maintains storage equipment, stores the equipment according to the manufacturer's instruction, contact the manufacturer and about the unique issues that may arise due to the condition of the using them, maintain the manufacturer's instruction reference. Static equipment is needed, but the scheduled maintenance is unserviceable. Immediately remove the service, protect the equipment from the environmental damage caused by the heat and light, excessive moistures, oils and chemicals, vapors, and other degrading elements. Respiratory will be cleaned and sanitized with each of the day and of each day, and the respirator will be used as also be closed, cleaned and sanitized before being worn, and different individuals. See the AFOA standard 48-137 attachment for cleaning procedure. Use the AF 11071 inspection and maintenance record to inspect and maintenance of the respirator gear for the AFOA standard 48-137 attachment 14 for instructions. Chapter 12 contract work.